I'm Chef Ron. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to clean a beef iron. I'm going to start by trimming off the excess fat. You want to get as much of the fat off as you can. And you can use the iron to either make a braciola, which is a cured iron, or you can use it to make pepperoni, which is the cured beef salami. And you want to get as much of the silver skin and the fat off as you can. Usually just kind of roll the iron around as you go. Rotate about 20 degrees each time. And then this iron starts at about 6.5 pounds. By the time you trim the fat off, it's going to be right around 5.5 pounds. And you want to get as much of this off as you can. And this is the big cap on this side. And we're just about there. When you're doing this, the sharper the knife, the better success that you'll have. Less of a chance to cut yourself. Last little bit here. Silver skin starting in. Alright, now I don't have a scale, but judging this, I'd say it's a good 5.5 pounds. Now, like I said, once you have this cleaned, you can either use it for whole beef braciola, or you can cut it to pieces for pepperoni. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to make pepperoni. First, we have a grinder, the beef iron that we cleaned earlier. Try to have the grinder pieces as cold as possible. And grind them into a mixing bowl that's set over ice. Try to keep everything as cold as you can. When you're doing this, you're trying to work as fast as you can. Because the longer the meat stays in the grinder, it does actually raise the temperature of the beef. And we just got a couple more to go. You also want to be careful you don't put your fingers too far into the grinder. And that's the last of it. The next step is to add our seasoning. Alright, once we have the meat grinded, it's in our mixing bowl. I'm going to attach this to our mixer using the paddle attachment. Just turn it on low before you raise the bowl up. Normally if you're making a salami, you want to make sure you don't overmix the meat. But this, there's not a lot of fat in there, so you don't really have to worry about it too much. Just want to make sure that everything gets mixed really well. And the meat's still staying pretty cold. So everything's mixed in there. The next step is to fill the casings. Alright, so now we have our beef iron ground. Got the seasonings in there. What you want to do is bang it on the counter. Get as much of the air bubbles out as you can. Put it right into the stuffing chamber. Again, just work in small batches. Makes it easier to handle. You're able to knock as much air out as you can. Alright. Put on our sausage. Crank it down. You just want to get a little of the meat into the tube. And just back it out. Take our first string. And underneath the chamber there. These are beef middle casings and soaked in water overnight. And then we're going to crank out the first. This is you. You just want to use a nice, easy pace. Do it too fast, you have a chance of blowing the casing. Pause. And you're going to get a couple air bubbles in there. Stop that. Slide this down. Keep that in. Okay, pull it tight. Pull, 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 pull. Okay. So wrap it around 3 times. And tie a knot in it. Okay. Going to repeat with the remaining casings in the soaked in water string. Alright, let's tie this one off as well. So this is the initial knot, just to make sure you have both ends of the casing closed. And then we'll tie a bubble knot on the end so you can hang it without the casing coming apart. So whatever sausage casings you have left over that are in the water, just take out and put a little plastic container, cover with salt, and put a lid on it. So you can just store it in the refrigerator indefinitely. Now they have the sausages stuffed. We cut off the initial string. We're going to tie a bubble knot on the end to make sure that the knot's going to stay. Have about a 15-inch piece of string. Put the tied end about 2/3 of the way down. Wrap it under 3 times. Pull it tight. Make a loop on the end. Put the end of the casing through the loop. Pull the knot, and just tie a regular knot. It's called a bubble knot. Tie it in here. And trim off the remainder of the casing. Now you should be able to hang the pepperonis without them falling off. Alright, again, to make the bubble knot, got about a 15-inch long piece of string. Going to place the end of the casing about 2/3 of the way down. Make 3 underlying loops. Pull it tight. Make a loop on the other end. Put the top of the casing through the loop. And pull it tight. And make a standard knot. And what you're going to have is a little bubble right inside of your loop. It's called a bubble knot. Tie off the end, and then what we're going to do, we'll tip the casing. They're going to hang it room temperature overnight. They're going to put it in a curing chamber the next day. Our sausages have been hanging overnight at room temperature. I'm going to put them in our curing box. Make sure you label it and date them. And the curing box is set for 70% humidity and 60 degrees. And leave them in there for about 3 weeks till they lose 30% of their weight. And then we'll check on them. So it's been a couple weeks. We're going to check on the pepperoni now. You see that the mold has been growing. And they've lost 30% of their weight. So now we're going to clean them up and see what the next step is. So now that we have the pepperoni, we've pulled them out of the curing chamber. It's been in there for about 3 weeks. You can see this covered with mold. It's lost about 30% of its weight. So the next step is to remove the mold from the casing. So what I like to do is just use the back of a knife and scrape as much mold off as you can. And you don't really have to get all of it now. And then once you get the mold off, the bulk of it, I'm going to use a little red wine vinegar. We're going to use a little red wine vinegar to get the remaining mold off. And generally try to do this over a sink because it can get a little messy. So again, what the red wine vinegar is going to do is actually stop the mold from growing. So once we cryovac it, the mold will already be off and won't continue to grow inside the cryovac. And you're just trying to get as much of this mold off. See that compared to the other one. Probably got 90% of it off. And try to get into the little crevices. And then what we'll do is let this sit on the counter overnight before we cryovac it. Once you have the mold off, put the ends off. See the inside of the sausage, nice and firm. So the pepperoni's been sitting out room temperature for about a day or two. We went ahead and took the vinegar to wipe off the mold. So we leave it sitting on the counter to just make sure that the mold's not going to start regrowing again. We're going to put it in a cryovac bag. And we're going to vacuum seal it. And then once you have a vacuum seal, You can leave it in the refrigerator for probably between 4 to 6 weeks. And then just take it out, reopen the bag, and you should be good to go. So you can see that the pepperoni has been cryovac. We're just going to put a date on the bag, and then we're going to put it in the refrigerator. If you like the video, please press like, and if you'd like, press subscribe as well.